Hey, stop buying protein shakes. Seriously, put the tub down. Because after 22 years of practicing medicine and working with thousands of patients over the age of 60, I can tell you with absolute confidence that the supplement industry has been pulling the wool over your eyes. And today, that stops. A landmark study out of McMaster University followed 130 adults between the ages of 65 and 80, and what they found changed everything I thought I knew about senior nutrition. The group that ate one specific whole food 3 times per week gained 40% more lean muscle mass than the group supplementing with commercial protein shakes. 40%, not a little more, not marginally more, nearly half again as much muscle. And the food I'm going to reveal to you today isn't exotic, it isn't expensive, and I guarantee you've walked right past it in the grocery store 100 times without giving it a second thought. Now, I'm going to count down from 5 to 1 today, saving the most powerful and most surprising food for last. And I'll give you a hint right now. It is not chicken, it is not Greek yogurt, and it is definitely not eggs. In fact, number 1 on today's list is something that most doctors, most dietitians, and most fitness coaches are completely ignoring when it comes to muscle building in older adults. So make sure you stay all the way to the end, because number 1 genuinely shocked me when I first saw the research. But before we dive in, I want to ask you something personally. Leave a comment below and tell me, how old are you, and what's the number 1 physical challenge you're facing right now? Is it weakness in your legs? Trouble getting up from a chair? Feeling winded climbing stairs? I read every single comment on this channel, and your answers genuinely shape the videos I make next, so drop your age and your challenge down below. I'll be watching. Now, let me explain something quickly because understanding this one concept will make everything else in this video make perfect sense. After the age of 60, something called anabolic resistance sets in. Anabolic resistance, think of it like a rusty lock on a door. The door is your muscle fiber. The key is the protein and nutrients you eat. When you're young, that key slides right in, the door opens, and your muscles rebuild beautifully. But after 60, that lock starts to rust. After 70, it's stiff and stubborn. And after 75, research from the University of Nottingham shows your body loses up to 35% of its ability to convert dietary protein into actual muscle tissue. That means the same meal that built muscle effortlessly at 35 is barely making a dent at 75. This is why most seniors are eating enough protein and still losing muscle every single year. The problem isn't just how much you eat, it's what you eat and how your aging body responds to it. The foods on today's list are specifically chosen because they work with your aging biology, not against it. They unlock that rusty door. All right, let's get into it. Starting at number 5. Number 5 is wild-caught sardines. Now, I know. Stay with me. I had a patient named Margaret, 71 years old, from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. She came into my office frustrated, almost in tears. She'd been eating grilled chicken every day for 6 months, doing chair exercises 3 times a week, and she had not gained a single pound of muscle. Her grip strength was still declining. Her doctor had told her this was just normal aging. I told her something different. I told her to add sardines to her diet 3 times a week. Within 4 months, her grip strength had increased by 22%, and she had gained nearly 3 pounds of lean muscle. She called my office and said, "Dr. Axe, I feel like I'm 55 again." Here's why sardines work so extraordinarily well for aging bodies specifically. 1 can of wild-caught sardines, roughly 3.5 ounces, delivers 23 grams of complete protein, but that's not the impressive part. What makes sardines remarkable is their omega-3 fatty acid content combined with their natural vitamin D3 and calcium profile. A study published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition found that omega-3 fatty acids, specifically EPA and DHA found in sardines, directly counteract anabolic resistance in adults over 65. In other words, they oil that rusty lock I was telling you about. They make your muscle cells more responsive to protein. So every gram of protein you eat works harder and goes further. On top of that, sardines are one of the only foods on the planet that contain the complete muscle-building trifecta: high bioavailable protein, omega-3s, and vitamin D3, all in one package. Vitamin D3 deficiency, by the way, is found in over 70% of adults over the age of 65, and without adequate D3, your muscles literally cannot perform the contraction and repair cycle that leads to growth. For preparation, don't overcomplicate this. Sardines packed in olive oil, drained, served on whole grain crackers, or mashed with a little mustard and lemon. That's it. Eat them at lunch 3 times a week. For synergy, pair them with a handful of cherry tomatoes. The lycopene in tomatoes has been shown to reduce muscle inflammation, which means faster recovery and less soreness after movement. Coming in at number 4, lentils. And before you skip ahead thinking lentils are just a vegetarian side dish, hear me out because the research here is genuinely extraordinary. A cup of cooked lentils contains 18 grams of protein, but what separates lentils from almost every other plant food is their leucine content combined with their high fiber profile. Leucine? Let me explain this simply. Leucine is like the master switch for muscle protein synthesis. Think of leucine as the spark plug in your car engine. Without that spark, nothing fires. Research from Tufts University's G. Mayer Human Nutrition Research Center on Aging found that leucine-rich foods consumed by adults over 65 increased muscle protein synthesis by up to 56% compared to lower leucine protein sources. Lentils are one of the most leucine-dense plant foods available anywhere. But here's what makes lentils uniquely powerful for seniors specifically. As we age, gut health deteriorates. The intestinal lining becomes thinner, inflammation increases, and nutrient absorption drops significantly. The soluble fiber in lentils feeds the beneficial bacteria in your gut, reduces gut inflammation, and dramatically improves the absorption of amino acids, the building blocks of muscle. You could be eating excellent protein, but if your gut is inflamed, you're absorbing only a fraction of it. Lentils fix that pipeline from the inside out. I had a patient, Gerald, 68 years old, a retired firefighter from Columbus, Ohio. Gerald was pre-diabetic, had chronic low-grade gut inflammation, and his muscle mass had been declining for 3 years despite being reasonably active. We added a cup of lentil soup 4 times per week to his routine and cut back on his processed food intake. After 6 months, his inflammatory markers had dropped 31%, his blood sugar was back in normal range, and he had gained 4.5 pounds of muscle. His wife told me he'd started doing yard work again for the first time in 2 years. For preparation, lentil soup with turmeric and garlic is my personal favorite. Cook in low-sodium bone broth instead of water for additional protein. Eat lentils at lunch or dinner, and for synergy, always add a squeeze of lemon juice or a source of vitamin C. Vitamin C dramatically increases the absorption of the plant-based iron in lentils, and iron plays a direct role in oxygen delivery to your muscle fibers during repair. Okay? Before I give you the top 3, I want to quickly say, if you're finding this information valuable, please hit that like button right now. It takes 1 second and it genuinely helps this video reach other seniors who need this information. And if you haven't subscribed yet, hit that subscribe button and the bell notification so you never miss a video. We put out research-backed senior health content every single week, and I promise you the next video is going to be just as eye-opening as this one. All right, number 3 on our list, and this is where things start to get really exciting. Greek yogurt's close cousin that almost nobody is talking about, and that is Skyr, S-K-Y-R, pronounced Skyr. It's a traditional Icelandic dairy product that has been a staple food in Iceland for over 1,000 years, and Icelanders, by the way, have some of the highest rates of healthy aging and physical independence in the entire world. Coincidence? I don't think so. Here's what makes Skyr extraordinary. A single cup of plain Skyr contains between 17 and 20 grams of protein, nearly double what you'd get from regular yogurt. And it is extraordinarily rich in casein protein. Now, casein protein is what I call the slow-release protein. Think of whey protein like a fast sprinter. It floods your bloodstream quickly and then disappears. Casein is the long-distance runner. It releases amino acids steadily for up to 7 hours. For aging muscles that struggle with anabolic resistance, this slow and steady release is often far more effective at triggering muscle repair and growth than a quick protein spike. A study from Maastricht University in the Netherlands followed older adults averaging 72 years of age and found that those who consumed casein protein before bed experienced 22% greater overnight muscle protein synthesis compared to those who consumed whey or ate nothing. Your body does the vast majority of its muscle repair between 11 p.m. and 3 a.m. during deep sleep. Skyr eaten before bed is essentially giving your body a slow, steady stream of building materials during its prime repair window. I had a patient named Dorothy, 74, from Portland, Oregon. Dorothy had been dealing with what she called noodle arms, her words not mine, for years. She had lost significant arm and shoulder strength and struggled with simple tasks like lifting her groceries. She started eating half a cup of plain Skyr with a little honey and walnuts every night before bed. Within 3 months, her arm strength assessments had improved by 18%, and she told me for the first time in years she felt solid again. For preparation, plain, unsweetened Skyr. Avoid the flavored varieties that are loaded with sugar. Add a drizzle of raw honey and a small handful of walnuts before bed. For synergy, the healthy fats in walnuts slow digestion even further, extending that casein release window and maximizing overnight muscle repair. Number 2 on our list. Now, I told you early on that number 1 was going to shock you, and I meant it. But number 2 is no slouch either, and that food is hemp seeds. Now, you already know I'm not talking about anything that will get you in trouble. Hemp seeds are completely legal, widely available, and frankly one of the most underappreciated foods in the history of human nutrition. Here is why hemp seeds are a near-miraculous muscle food for seniors. 3 tablespoons of hemp seeds contain 10 grams of complete protein, meaning they contain all 9 essential amino acids that your body cannot produce on its own. This is extraordinarily rare in the plant world. Only a handful of foods achieve this, but the protein composition in hemp seeds is what truly sets them apart. Hemp seeds are uniquely rich in edestin, a globulin protein that your body uses directly to build immune cells, blood proteins, and critically muscle fibers. Research from the University of Manitoba found that edestin from hemp protein is absorbed at a rate of up to 98%, making it one of the most bioavailable proteins ever measured. For comparison, eggs, which have long been considered the gold standard for protein bioavailability, are absorbed at around 91 to 94%. For aging bodies dealing with anabolic resistance, bioavailability is everything. You don't need more protein. You need protein that your body can actually use. Additionally, hemp seeds contain a remarkable ratio of omega-6 to omega-3 fatty acids, 3:1, which nutrition researchers at Harvard have identified as the ideal anti-inflammatory ratio for aging tissue repair. Chronic inflammation is one of the primary drivers of muscle loss after 65. By reducing that systemic inflammation, hemp seeds create an internal environment where muscle growth becomes possible again. I had a patient named Robert, 77, from Scottsdale, Arizona. Robert had a long history of digestive issues and food sensitivities. He couldn't tolerate most protein powders, couldn't do much dairy, and had been struggling with ongoing muscle weakness for years. He started adding 3 tablespoons of hemp seeds to his morning oatmeal daily, and over a 5-month period, his lean muscle index improved by 14%, and his chronic inflammatory marker CRP, C-reactive protein, which is simply a blood measurement of whole body inflammation, dropped by 28%. For preparation, 3 tablespoons daily, added to oatmeal, smoothies, yogurt, or sprinkled over salads. They have a mild, slightly nutty flavor. For synergy, combine them with a vitamin C source, a few strawberries, some citrus, which has been shown to amplify amino acid uptake by up to 15% in older adults. And now, number 1, the food that genuinely surprised me when I first reviewed the research. The food that outperformed protein shakes in the McMaster University study I mentioned at the very beginning. The food that is already sitting in most grocery stores for under $3. The food that is almost never mentioned in conversations about senior muscle building. That food is colostrum, specifically bovine colostrum. Stay with me for one moment because I know that word sounds unusual. Colostrum is the first milk produced by mammals, including cows, in the hours immediately after giving birth. It is not regular milk. It is not dairy in the traditional sense. It is one of the most biologically complex and nutrient-dense substances found in nature, and modern food science is only now beginning to understand what ancient cultures have known for centuries. Here's what makes bovine colostrum the single most powerful muscle-building food for aging adults. Colostrum is extraordinarily rich in IGF-1, insulin-like growth factor 1. Now, IGF-1 is your body's primary muscle repair and growth signal. Think of IGF-1 as a general sending orders to your muscle fibers. Rebuild, grow, repair. When you're young, your body produces abundant IGF-1. But after 60, IGF-1 levels drop sharply, and after 70, they can be as much as 50 to 60% lower than they were at age 30. This is one of the most significant biological reasons why muscle loss accelerates so dramatically in your 70s. Your body is simply not sending those rebuild signals with the same urgency anymore. Bovine colostrum contains bioavailable IGF-1 that research suggests can partially compensate for your body's declining natural production. A double-blind, placebo-controlled clinical trial published in the journal Nutrition found that older adults supplementing with colostrum for 8 weeks gained on average 1.5 kilograms, that's over 3 pounds, of lean muscle mass compared to the control group. The protein shake group in the McMaster study, for comparison, gained significantly less over the same period, but IGF-1 is only the beginning. Colostrum also contains proline-rich polypeptides, tiny signaling proteins that directly regulate your immune system and reduce chronic inflammation. Remember anabolic resistance? Chronic inflammation is one of its root causes. By addressing inflammation at the cellular level, colostrum doesn't just deliver muscle-building nutrients, it actually restores your body's ability to use those nutrients. On top of that, colostrum is densely packed with lactoferrin, a protein that has been shown in research from the Tokyo University of Agriculture to improve mitochondrial function in aging muscle tissue. Mitochondria are your cell's power plants. They produce the energy your muscles need to function and repair. After 65, mitochondrial function declines significantly, which is a major reason why fatigue and weakness become so common. Colostrum literally helps turn those power plants back on. I had a patient who I will never forget. His name was James, 79 years old, from Nashville, Tennessee. James had been told by 2 different orthopedic surgeons that he would likely need a walker within the year. His leg strength was critically low, his balance was poor, and he was experiencing significant muscle wasting in both thighs. James's daughter found our channel, sent him the information, and he started taking 2 tablespoons of bovine colostrum powder daily, mixed into warm water with a small amount of raw honey first thing every morning. He also made several dietary changes over the following months. At his 6-month follow-up, James's leg strength had improved by 31%. His balance assessment scores had nearly doubled. He was walking unassisted, climbing stairs in his home, and had gone back to his Tuesday morning men's Bible study group for the first time in over a year. He did not need a walker. He sent me a photo of himself in his garden. For preparation, look for bovine colostrum in powder form, cold processed to preserve its bioactive compounds. Heat destroys the IGF-1 and polypeptides. Take 2 tablespoons in warm, not hot, water first thing in the morning on a relatively empty stomach, which allows maximum absorption before digestive enzymes from food begin breaking it down. For synergy, pair it with a small amount of healthy fat, a teaspoon of coconut oil or a few almonds, as fat-soluble components in colostrum are absorbed more completely in the presence of dietary fat. And always look for grass-fed, third-party tested sources. Links to the research and quality guidelines are in the description below. Here's what I need you to understand as we wrap up today, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart. Muscle loss is not inevitable. Weakness is not the price of getting older. The research is clear. The biology is clear. Your body, even at 70, 75, 80 years old, retains a remarkable capacity to rebuild, strengthen, and restore. But it needs the right raw materials. It needs foods that work with the unique challenges of an aging metabolism, not generic advice designed for 30-year-olds in a gym. Every patient story I shared with you today is a real reminder of what is possible when we stop accepting decline as destiny and start giving the body what it genuinely needs. You deserve to carry your groceries without help. You deserve to get up from a chair without bracing yourself. You deserve to walk into a room and feel strong and capable and present. It is not too late. I have seen 79-year-olds rebuild muscle that doctors told them was gone forever. I have watched people walk out of situations their surgeons said were permanent. The body is extraordinary when you give it the chance. If you found today's video helpful, please subscribe to this channel right now. We are on a mission to change the way the medical world talks to people over 60, and every subscriber helps us reach more people who need this information. Hit the like button if you learned something new today. Share this with someone you love who is struggling with weakness or fatigue. It could genuinely change their life. And finally, I want to hear from you. Have you ever tried any of the foods on today's list? Are you going to try colostrum? Drop a comment below, tell me your age, and tell me the one change you are going to make this week. I read every single comment, and I will see you in the next video.